Welcome everybody to our session. I'm Richard Hirst. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Circus Street. Circus Street, we are an online education platform, and we work with some of the largest global brands, helping them develop capability programs to deliver against their business objectives. But we're mainly here to talk to Mary Kay, to talk to Sheryl about her time at Mary Kay. And you have to indulge me here first, because I've been sent to describe the brand and what they've been doing, and the story that they've been telling over the last 60 years is quite inspiring. So indulge me while I read out from their story. So as one of the original glass ceiling breakers, Mary Kay Ash founded her beauty company nearly 60 years ago with 3 goals: develop rewarding opportunities for women, offer irresistible products, and make the world a better place. That dream has blossomed into a multi-billion-dollar company with millions of independent sales force members in nearly 40 countries. Mary Kay is committed to empowering women and their families by partnering with organizations from around the world, focusing on supporting cancer research, protecting survivors from domestic abuse, and beautifying communities and encouraging young people to follow their dreams. So that's a powerful company. And I'm going to frame today, we're going to talk to Sheryl about customer experience. Their passion is customer experience, and it's key for the company. So we'll talk around that. We'll then talk a bit about people, because people is the core of Mary Kay. It's also people and education is what Circus Street do, so I'll weave in some talk around education. And later on, have a think about how COVID's impacted this market. So, enough from me. First of all, we want to talk to you, Sheryl, about your journey. You've been 13 years at Mary Kay.
Yes.
You're now CMO of Mary Kay. So we'd love to understand a bit about your journey from before. What and who inspired you to become the CMO you are today?
Okay, so I want to go way back in time to Girl Scouts and selling cookies, because that was when I got my first sales experience, and I was that Girl Scout that was going to sell the most cookies, and I did. From there, I actually went into retail sales part-time because I love fashion, and I wanted to work at a store where I could get a discount. So I actually, all through most of high school and college, worked in boutiques, retail sales on commission. And when you work on commission, you have to really learn how to quickly connect with a prospective customer, read them, understand them, and get them to trust you. So I've always had a love of consumer behavior, shopping behavior. Shopping is my cardio, so to speak. But my interest in retailing led to an interest in marketing and advertising. Went on to get my MBA, and then started my career in consumer packaged goods, brands like Fruity Pebbles, Stovetop Stuffing. But always thinking about the role of the product in the life of the consumer. I went on from consumer packaged goods into financial services, and brought us that same mindset of how do you create an experience, how do you build trust quickly in a very transactional situation, so to speak. And then more recently, returned to beauty, and then Mary Kay for the last 13 years.
Fantastic. And have you had any mentors along the way? Or what would be seen as you've been driving you personally and also through business?
I've been fortunate to have some terrific role models and mentors, really of all backgrounds, not only from a sales and marketing perspective, but technology, operations. And I would also add, most recently at Mary Kay, to be part of a community of so many inspiring entrepreneurs, whether they know it or not. The leaders of our independent sales force, I regard them as mentors. They have supported me, and I have learned so much from them. So that is one of the best perks, so to speak, of what I get to do.
Fantastic. And have there been any big challenges along the way?
When you are responsible, so to speak, for a human brand, and that's really what Mary Kay is about, that independent sales force. The challenges are certainly dwarfed by opportunity. But having said that, I don't control how the brand shows up, so to speak. with Fruity Pebbles, I could design the box, design the product, and design a promotion and know that my brand was sitting on a shelf. It's not the same when you're working with millions of passionate women, passionate people. So while I wouldn't call it a challenge, the thing that excites me every day is how I get to support them, to encourage them, to help build their confidence, but at the same time, knowing that each one is an individual and the brand experience that they deliver is going to be unique to them and their customer base.
Because that's very different to a standard corporate environment
Yes.
where you're delivering the message to the consumer, you're delivering it to the business owners.
Exactly.
Which is very different, and they're all different.
Yes.
And therefore it's not, fantastic. So moving into customer experience, which I know is your passion, and you've got a hashtag of experience is everything.
Exactly.
So tell us a bit about that.
I think, first of all, Mary Kay Ash was brilliant when she started this business because she started it wanting to deliver an experience that was relevant, that was inclusive, and understanding that for many women, particularly women who wanted an earnings opportunity, nothing existed. So Mary Kay Ash truly was a trailblazer, and as she thought about the experience, she really drew from lessons she had learned in her career. She was a single mother for many years, and direct selling gave her an opportunity to support her family, at the same time be available for her family. As a woman in business, she experienced discrimination. She was overlooked for promotions despite, having the best sales records, et cetera. So as she thought about the business opportunity, she thought about it in terms of the experience, an experience that certainly would have flexibility, an experience that would be collaborative and supportive. So in terms of the culture and how the independent sales force would work together and support each other, even though each beauty consultant is an individual entrepreneur, she wanted to make sure that there was that everyone was motivated to help each other succeed. It wasn't that, I'll say, male paradigm of I win if you lose. She really was about the win-win and the support of each member. So fast forward to today, I, along with my team, work to build on those experiences, reinforcing collaboration, building confidence, and then, of course, incorporating business tools and technology to enhance the experience. But the experience is really driven by human connections, and ideally, those are face-to-face.
Okay, that's great. And so your team are approaching Mary Kay's customer experience-led agenda for the future. So do you tell us a bit more about that and how that ties in to Mary Kay's vision of how this network of women are empowered and how that's driven?
Yeah, one of the things that I found is unique at Mary Kay is, first and foremost, all employees are immersed, if you will, in the customer experience. Every employee, no matter where they work in the organization, no matter what level they enter the organization, attends a 3-day, ideally in-person orientation. And the purpose of that is to really understand what it means to be customer-centric, to understand our beauty consultants, to understand what it's like for them to run their business. And I found, and others have said, they've never seen a company invest that kind of time, and it's an orientation that involves all the senior executives. It involves our independent sales force. So from day one, there's an immersion into our customer experience and how each person's position and responsibility support the sales force. The other thing that we are, I'll say, obsessed by is listening to our customers. We have so many contact points. It could be in person, it could be surveys. Literally, when any salesperson calls the company, you drop what you're doing, you speak to that independent salesperson. If you're late for a meeting, it's okay if you've been talking to a customer. So that really is the culture. Mary Kay Ash often said, picture an invisible sign around each person's neck that says, make me feel important. And that is in the DNA of our culture.
And in today's world, that must be quite difficult because it changes the whole time. So you can have an immersion session with your sales force, and it changes very, very quickly. In training, it's the same. People will learn around a certain theme, a topic, that within 3 months' time, it's changed, adapted, and we have to keep evolving that. How do you tackle that at Mary Kay?
Well, I think one of the things that has fueled the success of the business and the success of the independent sales force is that we do have a very strong value-centered culture. And when we stay focused on those values, things like the golden rule, the integrity of the business, as I mentioned before, celebrating success, making everyone feel important. That then becomes the constant, the foundation. From there, we look at what we do and how we do it in terms of how consistent is it with our values and with our mission of enriching women's lives.
Okay, so in terms of innovation, how do you view that from a product point of view first, and then from within your sales force, a technology base as things innovate? How do you approach that with the B2B approach you have?
In terms of product innovation, I'm always so proud to share that Mary Kay formulates pretty much all of the products in the portfolio. We have a state-of-the-art research and development center along with manufacturing. We have a team of scientists, chemists, engineers, et cetera, that really do design the products to meet the needs of the independent sales force. So we combine trend research, scientific studies, as well as the voice of our customers to design an exclusive portfolio of skincare, color, and fragrance products. So product innovation is always very important. It does support the success of the independent sales force. We then also layer on the business tools and technology that support their success, particularly in regards to thinking about time. Time is our greatest competition. So we think about how can the technology not so much replace how an independent beauty consultant engages with her customer, but how can technology free up time so that she can focus on those value-added relationships.
Okay, great. And also, you're in 40 countries.
Yes.
How do you do that innovation across all those territories that can be very different in terms of consumer need and want and general theme?
It takes time and a lot of collaboration. So within my organization, while I lead the global team, we also work with regional marketing and sales staff as well as local market. And what we look for are I'll say a combination of things that we know are unique in terms of skincare science, but we also incorporate where we can local preferences, and that might be for packaging or specific fragrances. So it really is a blend of corporate-led initiatives that provide global scale and efficiencies, but at the same time, there is space for customization at a local level, particularly in terms of marketing programs. We can't customize every shade of lipstick, even though it would be fun to try to do that. But in terms of the marketing, content, and those decisions, we really do have space for the markets to be responsive to those local business opportunities.
And do you use your sales force as a big gauge on what's happening in local markets and pull that information from your partners back to the center?
Definitely. It's wonderful that we have the opportunity to leverage our customers. We actually know all of our customers by name because we have those relationships with them. So we do have the opportunity, and I think some of our most successful initiatives are the result of how we engaged our independent sales force, asking for input at critical times, making sure that we thought not only about what to launch, but how best to launch initiatives. So certainly, in a customer-centric organization, listening is, our greatest opportunity.
And strength. So you're a people company. There's 2 million more in the sales force. So moving into people, and people's our area. We're an education company. So in terms of development, mentoring, training, we've heard lots this week, and lots of panelists have touched on this area. A couple of quotes struck me. There was one from Susan at Party City. She said, "The bedrock for transformation is the mindset and skill set of the people and talent in an organization going through change." That resonated with me, because mindset and skill set are two different elements now. Mindset's very important. And the one I like from Jay at Diageo described that everyone's best brief should be one for themselves. They should have their own 5-year plan, quarterly goals, and hit them. I think that was he hit his. That resonated with me. But with Mary Kay and the 2 million sales force, what's your approach to people and training and education, more education and building people as young entrepreneurs or just entrepreneurs to grow their businesses?
We think about people development, and I'll speak first from a company corporate perspective. And Mary Kay Ash always did say people are our greatest asset. So there is constant investment in not only skill and knowledge development, but also in personal development and growth. It's wonderful to know a lot, but people also need to understand how you care, how you share. And so education definitely needs to cover that full gamut. And then, more broadly thinking about the independent sales force, there has always been a focus and an investment on, again, helping the independent sales force be successful, which means having the right information or content served up at the right time in the right way. As entrepreneurs, not everyone has a dedicated amount of time necessarily for a hour-long training module. So we think in terms of how to make education snackable, and also to make sure that the independent sales force can basically go through the layers and always learn more, learn as much as he or she wants or needs at a given point of time. And there again, that's where technology can help us. We can understand what content is being accessed, what's the level of engagement, and again, use that to refine what's most relevant at any given point in time.
And when you're touching on technology, what technology do you use to be able to bring that to the center? Because you have to get it out to 2 million plus business owners. And how do you tackle that scale challenge? It's a big challenge for a lot of our clients. Is how do we get this learning across the board? They don't work with 2 million. They work, tens of thousands. But how do you overcome that challenge?
So in the various countries, there is an intranet site that is a resource for the independent sales force. In addition, we also invest time and resources into what I'll call train the trainer. And so the leaders, more experienced independent sales force members are our best teachers, so to speak. So we make sure that we have content customized for them. Some of that might be delivered in person. We love in-person events, but obviously with the COVID restrictions over the last couple of years, we ramped up our ability to deliver content via Zoom, Teams, Facebook groups, et cetera, et cetera. So our approach to providing education is to basically make it flexible, just as our business model is flexible.
And so that's the delivery technique to get it out to your sales force. But in terms of the skill sets needed, is it varied? Is it templated? Is it changing by the minute? Is it developed by the sales force into how they the information coming back in terms of what's working, and therefore let's share success?
A lot of the success factors for an independent beauty consultant often come back to her confidence, her belief in herself. There are independent sales force members who literally come from all walks of life, all levels of prior experience. It might be an 18-year-old who just finished high school. It might be a 60-year-old grandmother who is looking to support and mentor and encourage other women. It could be someone who's been a teacher, a nurse, a lawyer. And I share that because it has an implication for education. We don't assume anything about who needs what and when, which means we want to make sure we provide those options. And to your question, it's often the leadership, inspirational skills, that kind of EQ, so to speak, that is as powerful, if perhaps more so, than factual knowledge. We also are investing a lot of time making sure that in terms of the digital tools, the independent sales force not only understands the functionality, but that he or she understands how those tools can support their business, making their business easy and convenient.
Yeah. Fantastic. And just moving into the last few years, I'm going to come on to COVID in a minute.
That's okay.
But first of all, while we're talking about people, the great resignation that was talked about is a real thing across the globe in terms of people taking a look at their lives, their situation, and to change. It's impacted companies in many different ways, but I'm intrigued in terms of your sales force and the breadth of it. What was the impact for you at Mary Kay?
You know, thinking back to March of 2020, I think for all of us, it felt like a big bucket of ice water thrown in our face. And not that everyone didn't have to pivot quickly, but our business model really thrived on face-to-face interaction. That was, it was what Mary Kay Ash had taught. It's what we had done more or less for almost 60 years. And so overnight we said, that's not exactly an option right now. Fortunately, we did have the digital technology in place. And of course, some people had started to use it. It's actually been beneficial that people had to learn to leverage the technology, but it was effective only because those relationships were already in place. We heard so many moving stories where customers said, you know, I felt so isolated, but my independent beauty consultant just checked in on me. And it wasn't about selling product. It was just knowing that someone cared. And that's what we really, you know, we made sure from a corporate standpoint that we were reaching out to Salesforce. How are you doing? How are your family? Is there anything we can do for you at this time? They, in turn, were reaching out to their customers. Likewise, just saying, you know, be positive. I'm here for you. If there's anything I can do, let me know. And it was the culture of caring that not only helped us during that time, but it also, I think, maintain what's so important about the brand, which are relationships.
So that community basis that would come out in more of a force during that period helped drive the company. In education, for example, during COVID, we can't, especially part of our operation was, you know, classroom training. That stopped. It's all online. We have an online platform, that's fine, but what's going to happen during COVID? We didn't realize at the time that actually more people at home, more people are on Zoom and the technology. The amount of learning went through the roof. E-commerce went crazy. We teach e-commerce. So actually, this is now a huge opportunity for us, and it went well. So with that in mind, into what drove business for Mary Kay? What opportunities that you didn't realize were there before came out of the last few years? Sharing
what some of the independent sales force shared with us, as they learned and had to use more digital tools, whether it was Zoom, we have in many markets a skin analyzer to help understand what a customer might need for her skincare regimen. So what we learned, and what people shared anecdotally, is that first of all, they were able to reach more new customers. Yeah. They were able to connect with perhaps a broader demographic range than before. They also found that we always thrive on try before you buy and sampling the products. So now with our apps like Mirror Me, people were trying on cosmetics virtually and having fun with it. So what we learned, and I think what each person learned, is that there were more resources that they could tap into from Mary Kay. Yeah. There were more customers interested in Mary Kay and skincare. They maybe didn't know that there was an independent beauty consultant in their neighborhood, but as the sales force spent more time on social media, it really was an opportunity, I think, for everyone to broaden their horizons. Yeah. And again, take, I'll say, the tried and true of relationship building and customer service, and then scale that, so to speak, with the help of digital technology.
Fantastic. And we talked a bit earlier about, COVID and the impact and some of the themes, not just the themes of COVID, but how technology's accelerating in certain areas. And what themes do you see impacting your business and coming out over the last 12 months, 3 months, 12 months, and describe, we had an interesting conversation around theme, what you see as a theme. So
yeah, and themes and trends, I think there are elements of the human nature, and again, people wanting to be recognized, people wanting meaningful connections, and those don't necessarily change over time, but from a trend standpoint, how people act on those feelings and needs certainly evolves. You mentioned the great resignation. Yeah. I think of it as the great reprioritization, yeah, where men and women started to think about what is most meaningful, what's most important to them. And I think that will forever influence how they approach, how they spend their time, where they spend their time. And if you think about what most people invested in, it was really about connections and also being a part of something bigger than themselves, so to speak, that sense of purpose, whether it was helping a neighbor, helping, supporting a cause, raising a voice on a social issue. So again, while that maybe isn't a brand new desire, yeah, people are looking to act on it. They're looking for opportunities to take their passion and work with others towards some of those goals that can help make the world a better place, no matter what aspect of the world you're most passionate about improving.
So building on that, you've got a workforce of entrepreneurs. Do you think your entrepreneurs are more entrepreneurial now versus 2-3 years ago? Has there been a change, or is it just a shift in priorities?
I think in terms of the independent sales force, they've always been passionate about helping other women and some men feel their best and be confident in their beauty. We will often say people want to look like themselves, only better. Yeah. So it really is about celebrating individual beauty. So I don't think the passion for that, it's always been at a high level. What I do appreciate about our independent sales force is that sense of community. And as I look at what they are involved in and supporting on a local level, whether it's raising money to help a local domestic violence shelter, whether it's hosting an event for cancer survivors and doing something for them, so that spirit of giving and giving back, that to me is something that I'm seeing more people share and scale with the help of technology.
Fantastic. We're nearly running out of time. I've got one more question. If you were to give yourself some advice, it's the age-old question, 15, 20 years ago, what tips would you give yourself?
I think the advice, and it's advice I now give to others, but it's really to own your bold, to embrace what makes you different. And rather than maybe playing a little bit smaller and trying to fit in, to just go out there and be you.
Go for it. Fantastic. Well, Sheryl, it's been lovely talking to you today.
Well, thank you, Richard. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.